So I'll start out by saying SMU, Kim Coulter, close your ears, had a good time. They have a really good scene there. A lot of FSU fans. I would say it was in the 80-20, 75-25 range. I mean, SMU showed out. FSU, brought a bunch of people. Here was the thing. I knew when I heard this that any chance of Florida State like bringing out the ghosts of the past and throwing a mirage in front of SMU to make them think that this was still Florida State was over, is that the marching Chiefs are supposed to go to this game. And I can tell you it's really hard for us to coordinate without the marching Chiefs to do the tomahawk job. Well, Hurricane Helene obviously had money on SMU, and they were also, Florida State, you're cheap, and I get it's expensive, but the band was going to drive in buses. Mm-hmm. Well, that didn't happen. So no band. And really, took the vibe out of it. A couple cool things happened. Look, George W. Bush came and did the coin toss. That was really cool. And then, of course, it's the ACC, debut for them. So they're going to roll out everything. Eric Dickerson rolled onto the field in a convertible. That was not, and this is a missed opportunity, a gold Trans Am.
How do you not do that?
You've
got to properly do this.
Yeah, I think you've got to thumb your nose at the NCAA at this point and say, have him roll out in a gold Trans Am. It was a very nice car that he rolled out in, but it was not a gold Trans Am. So I thought missed opportunity, just missed opportunity. So Garrett, throw my new best friend up there on the screen again. So sitting at the game, so my wife and I go there, and I went with John Machota of The Athletic, and he had a friend that lives in Bradenton that's also an FSU fan that went there. But when he bought the tickets, he thought he was buying across the row, and we were on the as opposed to across the aisle. He was on one end, and we were on the other, so we didn't sit next to each other at the game. So when we sat down, this guy was in front of us, and he had this big hat on.
Those are so stupid.
Okay, let me tell you, as someone who has now sat in the stands behind somebody like this, and I'm not even to the start with this guy, but first of all, if you decide that you're going to buy one of these big hats and you decide you're going to wear it to the game and you're not sitting on the very back row of the stadium, jump off a bleeping bridge. Honestly, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. This thing has to stop. This is something you do outside the stadium, fine. Inside the stadium, it's inconsiderate as crap. First of all, sitting down, standing up doesn't matter. You're obstructing the view. And I know this sounds a little get off my lawn-ish, and usually I watch games from the comfort of a press box with an unobstructed view, so I get it. I'm a snob. But I'm telling you, this is boorish and impolite. And it was, and I'll give you a chance, Garrett, to guess. On a scale of 1 to 10,
okay,
how effed up this guy was.
Ooh, at least about a 8.5.
Oh, he was a 50.
Oh, a 50.
He was a
cold
50. So we got to know the people sitting next to us. We were in the wrong row, and then we had to move up one, but that was not a big deal. So everybody had to scoot down, and this guy was sitting next to Amanda. Eventually, he was leaning and
all over the
place. So his friend switched with him. A very nice young guy, and we got to talking to them, and they were all from Miami. They'd all gone to FSU except for their one friend who went to SMU, and he and his girlfriend, who they'd been together since high school, lived in Dallas and were there. And so she was sitting down further away, but every time this guy did anything, they all rolled their eyes. So the guy behind us asked him if he could take his hat off because he couldn't see. And really nice older gentleman. And so finally he does take his hat off, but then he also proceeds to take off the top layer of his Canadian tuxedo, which is jean jacket and jeans. It was 90 degrees, by the way, so not Canadian tuxedo weather.
No.
He took off his jean jacket, then he took off his shirt. So that was great. Had to deal with that for a little while. And then he kept doing that over and over and over again until halftime, at which point he plopped down and was in and out throughout the rest of the game, which was really tolerable. But it was like having a toddler that was wound up and then like everybody's like, oh God, and then all of a sudden like, oh well, after the appetizers, just calm right down, fell asleep. Okay, that's fine. But other than that, it was great. But I'm here to tell you, if you decide that you're an oversized ball cap guy, you and I are not going to be friends.
No, they're this. I never understood the fad with it. They look dumb. I don't know where how you would confidently wear one. I've never really been able to figure that out. But no, that's kind of like been my issue with going to games in general. Is like you never know who's going to be around you, and I don't want to pay a bunch of money for somebody like that to be near me and ruin my whole experience. You know, and especially if you have kids with you and they're drunk and being stupid, like. That's one thing I do not like about games, and I don't think you can ever really fix that because that's what you want the fandom, and you want people to come out and have a good time. But some people just ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, no, but other than that, it was. I mean, great. I met the guy sitting behind me. Was class of 03. I was class of 02. We had a good talk. Although by the fourth quarter, he was when they called last call, it was about it for him.
Yeah.
Although he wasn't that guy. He was a 40-year-old drunk. So like 40-year-old drunks, for the most part, we get to the point of like, you know, we're like 25% less drunk than that guy who's in his early 20s, you know. So, but yeah, it was great. I mean, other than watching, again, Jack says, can you murder someone that's already dead? Yeah, other than watching maybe a mercy killing, I don't know what that was, but it was awful. Other than that part of it, SMU is great. Thanks to the SMU, like I got to go up and go around, I walked the, you know, all those things. It was great. I can't say that one, Jack. That one I cannot say. But
what was your favorite experience? What was your favorite part of the experience?
Honestly, the SMU fans, like walking down the boulevard at SMU, it's a much smaller version of what they have at UCF because, again, it's a much smaller place.
Right.
Because it's not like SMU is not like I knew it wasn't big, but I'd only like been on the campus one other time, and it's been years ago, and it was not even for football. It was just like going, like driving around the campus because we were over by it, and so I didn't even remember it. But the campus is really small, and the stadium is small-ish. You know, it's not, you know, a big stadium. As a matter of fact, like, it reminds me of the new Merrill Green Stadium in Bryan, like the way the shape of it. Like if you took that stadium, made it a little bit bigger, and added ridiculous amenities to it, like we walked through because the way you have to get up to the press box, you have to walk through the club area, and then you have to go up onto their elevator to get to the press box. That was nice. It was swanky.
I bet.
It was swanky. Like here's the thing. I've walked through swanky like places where TCU has a nice one. I've been through Oklahoma State's, which I know at least when T-Boone Pickens was still alive was really nice. The media bathroom at Oklahoma at the Boone at T-Boone Pickens Stadium is the nicest public restroom I've ever been in my life. And I walked out and asked somebody that, and they're like, well, his suite is right down the way.
Oh, yeah, you got to keep it clean. You got to keep it clean.
Now, he has a bathroom in there, but, like, if there's people using it, you know, you want to go down. Like, he wanted it to look nice, so thank you, Boone. Missing one thing, but, you know, we're not going to get into the fact that, you know, doesn't have a bidet, but, you know, maybe one day.
I don't think there's a bidet in Stillwater, dude.
They're probably not. They probably don't understand that technology. But yeah, it was great. The Boulevard was great. Fans were really, like, people offered us food and beers, and it was great. It was awesome. So, yeah, I had a really good time. Ran into some people that I knew too. It was wild. It was a good time. So, SMU, I'll just give you an A review on your game day experience, because I think as they continue to invest in, like, now that they're back in the big time and they can do these things, as the alumni continue to invest, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. And it was really good. I know that they told me they'd like to move, like, make it bigger, because, like, the Boulevard is where everybody hangs out. But, like, on the other side of that, like, catty corner to it is, like, where the Doak Walker statue is, and there's a lot of room down that street where you could also put up a tailgate area and do a lot of things. So, but best of luck to them the rest of the way. You impressed me, SMU. You impressed me. So, yeah. And now I'm done. I'm done crying about it. So I've moved on to getting ready to cry about how Dabo Swinney reassumes his position atop the ACC by eating the corpse of what was Florida State.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're you know, poor renegades just laying dead in the desert right now. So DJU did hurt his finger. We might see Brock Glenn, but again, what?
That's wishful thinking.
What is life? What is life? So let's talk about the good things that happened this week. The good thing for college football was Georgia-Alabama was an instant classic. I remember checking that score at halftime and thinking, like, oh, my gosh, like, is this how bad Georgia is down right now? Are they, where Alabama can jump up, and put 30 points on them in a half and lead by 20-plus at halftime? Apparently, it was just they were a little bit asleep to start off the game, and then they got their sea legs. I couldn't believe they came back and took the lead. And then those back-to-back plays, Ryan Williams.
Oh, he's so good.
Everybody keeps saying it. 17 years old. On that touchdown, I saw that he simultaneously did a Randy Moss, a Tyreek Hill, and like a Deebo Samuel. Like where he pushed a guy away, like he mossed, then kind of pushed a guy away, and then turned on the Jets and ran away from everybody.
Yeah, the fact that he should be playing high school football is baffling. And I think it's players like him that have kind of skewed the perception of freshmen, because we had a run, especially at the quarterback position, because you had a run there where you had a couple of freshmen come out and just light things up, and then everybody else is supposed to be on that par. Ryan Williams is one of those athletes that makes everything look extremely easy and kind of sets the bar so high for other people to live up to. But no, it's incredible to watch him. I think just watching Jalen Milroe get cut loose in this offense under Kalen DeBoer has been refreshing. He's taken his game to a completely another level. And I was kind of just enjoying watching the camera cuts to Saban throughout it, because you could tell he was like holding on to all his emotions, and he seemed like a nervous wreck the entire game. But it was a great atmosphere. It was a great game for college football in general. And that's honestly going to be difficult for anybody to really match that game for what it is. That would be the best game we get all year. But no, that said a lot, man. Like, Alabama's legit. Were you surprised to see Georgia fall they didn't fall far, but I mean, to take a little tumble back the way they did in the.
Well, I was thinking about talking to Peyton.
Yeah.
Soysher, who we have every Friday on the main show. And Peyton, we talked about like what happens if one side blows out the other side. And it would have been like they would have been maybe around 8th or so. And that was in the first half, that scenario was playing itself out. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was wild. And then obviously it's a 1 point, or not a 1 point, one score game. A 1 score game and changed all that. But yeah, I feel like I'll never feel bad for Texas in any way, shape, or form. All of you know that. If I said that, I would be disingenuous. Mm-hmm. But they just went out and they didn't cover the ridiculously too high spread against an SEC team. I mean, they're not going to – I don't care how bad Mississippi State is right now. They're still in the SEC. Like, to beat an SEC team by 40, it has to be towards the end of the year where everyone's injured. Yeah. You're on your third quarterback, offensive lineman, like, done. Like, Mississippi State's still early in the year. Like, they're not going to get beat 40-3 by Texas. No. Which I think still would have covered the ridiculous spread, which I think it was 38.5. Mm-hmm. So they weren't going to cover, but they did well. So all they did was go out and handle their business and win 28-6 in an SEC game and dropped a spot, because obviously when the number 4 team beats the number 2 team, the number 4 team needs to be number 1 right now. Oh, yeah. That's common sense. Although, I do understand Texas's fans' perspective of like, well, all we did was go out and win, but – that was a massive win and a fantastic showing from Alabama, who kind of did 2 different things. Like, they blew out Georgia for a half, and then when they lost control of it, they went back out and regained control. Yeah. So that tells me a lot about what Kalen DeBoer's got going on there and his coaching style there at Bama. So, yeah, that was ridiculous. Other good things that happened this week. I mean, it's probably not good for the Big 12 that they don't have a team that could run away with this thing, but it was good for Arizona to go out and win a game and get some contributions from other people and stick it to the favorite in Utah. So
I was not expecting that one at all. And
I don't think anybody was.
And the way that Arizona was able to win with McMillan not having a big game by his standards was really impressive as well. And I know that Cam Rising didn't play, but Isaac Wilson has proven that he can win for the Utes. But yeah, that was one that, like, you knew Arizona was going to have a better chance because they're more familiar with that roster than a typical team in the Big 12 who hadn't faced Utah in the past. But at the same time, that's one where you thought the Utes would just take care of business like usual and keep rolling. I I was really surprised to see them fall in that game. And I mean, I think they're still going to have a good chance of making the Big 12 championship, but it's definitely going to make things more interesting. The bigger shocker for me in the Big 12 was Colorado just going into UCF and dominating on the ground.
Well, yeah, they did well on the ground. They ran for collectively 129 yards, or something like that, which is a lot for them.
Mm-hmm.
That would be low for UCF, and UCF still was able to run the ball a little.
Yeah.
But they fell behind so badly that their offense was rendered moot.
Yeah, they were daring KJ Jefferson to beat them through the air. And they couldn't, you can't rely on that with that team. And he had that good run where he just completely demolished the Colorado defender at the goal line. But that was the best overall game I've seen from Colorado under Dion. It was really impressive, man, to see what they were able to do.
Yeah. I was ridiculously impressed with how they did that. And man, we might have to amend what we're saying about Colorado. I mean, they're getting better, and that, like I said all week, look, Colorado's better than I think I thought they were after the Nebraska game, where I thought they were not that good at all. And they've come out and won the next 3 games, and
in all different styles too.
Yeah, in all different styles, they've adapted. They're kind of getting the hang of it. Maybe that some good things came out of getting physically mauled like they did against Nebraska. Now, the teams they've played defensively don't have that same kind of intimidating style, so I'm curious to see what happens if they do play someone like that, if that gets back into their grill or if they've kind of gotten over it. But their defense is coming together better than it was. They were able to run the ball, which should be very alarming for UCF because it's the first time they've been able to do that this year, outside of Shadur taking off and on some of those runs against Baylor. But things are going well. Like I do think that they are an offensive scheme change away from being legitimately year in and year out contenders because I don't think they have the right scheme. I mean, it's kind of a high school offense, but they've got the athletes to run it. They're not always going to have the athletes to get away with that. They're just not. But this has been good for Deion Sanders. And look, he has as many haters as anybody else, and people are just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The thing is that it might have already dropped, and this might be a team that's pretty good right now.
No, I think they are. I mean, and also, I think we kind of get it skewed on the teams coming in where the Pac-12 was really, really good last year, and it was really deep. So all of these teams, I think that they coming in, we weren't sure how they were going to match up, and I think we're seeing them fare better than expected because par to par, pound for pound, I don't think the Big 12 is as deep or as good as the Pac was last year. So that transition for them coming in, I think it's a little easier than what we expected in certain situations. And if you look at like I said, Colorado, BYU, I mean, BYU is really, really hot right now. It's just been intriguing to see, man. And they're going to be dangerous. The Big 12 is fun. I don't know what to make of this league. I don't necessarily think they have anybody who can make a run into playoff. I know you're going to have at least one team get in, but it's still a mess, and it's fun to watch. It's so chaotic, and it's the true essence of college football week in and week out for the conference as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the bad things that happen, including